Hi, now that you have seen the concept of content provider, we're going to do a small demo on content provider, which will make things more clear for you how exactly we use the content provider. So for that, I'm going to create a new application. I'm going to call it new provider 1 and finish empty activity. So in this particular application or in this particular example, what I'm going to create is first I'm going to create first application inside which I will be creating a content provider, and inside content provider there will be a database. So first I will be accessing that content provider or adding the data inside that content provider from this application only. Then I will be creating another application, and then from that application I will be accessing that content provider. So we will know that how exactly how exactly I can share the data from one application to another application. Now this example is pretty simple example, just to make things clear for you and provide you the skeleton and framework of getting familiar with the skeleton and framework of the content provider. But you will see more complex example using the content provider. I would suggest you, or I would recommend that you take a look on that too. But each and every complex example of your content provider will have this foundation. So let's just see how exactly we can create a small or simple content provider first. For that, I'm going to create a new UI first. I'm going to call it content provider. I'm going to increase the size to 36. Then I'm going to drag and drop. So I'm going to create two text views, or sorry, I'm going to create two edit text where user can enter the data, and while user enter the data, whatever the data user enter, I'm going to create a respective database for the same, and the data, whatever the data is being entered by the user, it will get saved in the database. And next time you want to access it or insert the data, of course, even you add the data, you will be adding it through the help of content provider. So content provider will be acting as a wrapper around your database. So we'll see how exactly it does that. So again, plain text, I'm going to drag and drop a plain text. Let me just put it a little bit up and make it edit 1. Gives the name, and I don't want any text, but hint I want, let's say, enter your name, or enter employee name, enter employee name. Great. And from here, just put the width as match parent. I will drag and drop another edit text, place it in the middle. Again, I will do nothing here. I will put edit 2 and match parent, and I'll call it enter your job profile. So accordingly, I have to create my database for that too. So I will create two buttons also here, so that when you click on one button, I will call it save. It will save these data to my database through the help of content provider. And I will also call a button load, so that when you click on load, it will say retrieve the data from my content provider. Okay, now in the XML part of both the button, I will create an on-click attribute, and I will call it, let's say, do save content. Okay, and for load, I'm calling it on-click do load content. And do save, again, I want to create this method in my activity, so alt enter, there you go. Same goes with that, alt enter, there you go. So in do save, I will be calling my code for accessing the saving the data in my database through the content provider, and in onload, I will be retrieving that. But for that, I need to create a content provider first. So how can I do that? Right click on your development package, go to new, then go to others, and then click on content provider. Now give the name of the class. Let's say company provider. Okay, and this is the name I'm giving, and you have the option to give the URI right here also. If you don't want to give the URI, you can give it later in the later part also, but in 2.2 you have this option. So right away, let's just give the URI. It can be anything. I'm putting com.lalit.my.company.provider. It can be used exported, yeah, it can be used by others, and enable, yeah, I want to enable. Finish it up. So you saw that as soon as I created that content provider class, it extended from content provider class first, and you see all these methods are being overridden. All these abstract methods are being overridden here. You can see delete, you can see get type, you can see insert, you can see on create, query, update. So at any point of time you want to delete, you will be calling delete, and inside that delete you will be putting the code to delete the database from your SQLite database. Same goes with others. So in our example, we are just going to see the insert so that we can insert the data, and we are going to see how exactly we can retrieve. The others like delete, update and all, they will be same, you know, the way we are doing with insert or query. The implementation will remain same, it's just the query will change. But let's see how exactly we can insert or retrieve the data from content provider first. Now, before I go ahead and do anything more in content provider, let's just take a look at the manifest file. Now, in the manifest file, you can see that there is an entry of content provider, and the authority is already defined here. Cool. So now I can come back to my content provider. First thing first, I need to define a authority. I need to define a content provider or content URI so that other application can access this content provider. So for that, I will be defining, let's say, public static final string authority. An authority will be the same which you just defined here, you know. Just copy this, and there you go. And then public static final content URI 1. Why I'm putting 1 here? Just a sec. Why I'm putting 1 here? Because you might be accessing different if you have more than one content provider, you might want to access the different content provider with a different authority. It's totally depend upon the user. So the content URI will always start from content. Well, if it is a URI, let me just make it URI object, and while you are putting the URI, why not give URI, yeah, sorry, why not just parse my string to URI dot parse and provide the complete content URI path. So a content, to access a content provider, it will always start from content scheme, that is called data scheme, and then put your authority. Great. And then you might have to put your table name and your other stuff like path also, if you are creating any row and all, but we will come to that. But this is my content URI. This is how I can access my content provider. Okay, let me just remove this also, as of right now I'm not using any other content provider to make things simpler. Okay, so this is my content URI. I have my content URI now. Now, before I go ahead any further, let me just create a SQLite database class, because under the hood, I have to create a database class here. So what will I do? I will create private class my own database extends SQLite open helper. We all know how exactly we create a SQLite open helper class, and then I will put the implement method, that is on create and on upgrade, and I will also make sure this there is a constructor here, and what I do with my constructor is provide a context object in that CT, and then I provide the super statement here, inside which I will provide CT, and I will need a database name, cursor factory object, and then there is a database version. So I can define those constant here if I want, or I can define it here. So it's totally up to you. Which one would you like to have? Let me just put it inside this only. So private static final string db name, let's say company, and private static final string db table, let's say emp, private static final int this time, and db version, just call it 1. So cool. All I need to do now is pass these argument here, like db name for database, and then employee and then cursor factory null default 1, and database version name. Great. Once you do that, next you need to do is create that table here. So we all know how we can do that. We already have a SQLite database object here. All I need to do is exe SQL, then put your query, create table. What is the table name? db table, and here I want to put underscore id, and let me just put it integer, and I will call it primary key and auto increment. Great. And then after that I need what? I have entered 2 parameters there. That is one employee name and employee job profile. So I will create 2 columns for that. emp underscore name, that would be a text, and for a job I will create job, or I will just call it profile. Again, it will be a text, and then just put semicolon. Okay, so this statement, or this exe SQL query will create my table, and at the end I do want to provide a small code on upgrade also, although I won't be reaching it. So I will provide what? The normal code that drop the whole table, but you don't really want to drop the table, you will alter the table. Just for our code's sake, we are providing drop table if exists, and provide db table. Great. So good. So now you can see here my SQLite Open Helper class is also ready. My all I have to do is whenever I'm accessing, let's say I want to enter the data, I will be getting into my insert query. If I want to get the data, I will be going into the query of my content provider. Okay, so I no longer need to create the methods inside my SQLite Open Helper class. So let's see how we can do that. Now, before we do that, I do want to create a URI matcher class. Well, before I create matcher class, let me just create this static public static int emp1 public static int emp id 2. So why exactly I'm creating, let's just make them static only. Why exactly I'm creating this as these two integer values? Because next I'm going to create a URI matcher. URI matcher is a class which will be used to match the content URI every time you access your table inside the content provider, because this content URI will give you the access of content provider, and inside your content provider how many tables are there or what is the row you are accessing. So those things will be taken care by your URI matcher class. New URI matcher and no match in the starting, and make sure it is a static one, so that even if the URI matcher is not dependent on your class object to get initialized, so it will be there only. You can access it with the name of your class itself, so it will be static. You want it to be static there. So now I want to add some URIs here. So add first authority. Authority is again my authority here, that is the com.lalit.mycompany.provider. Second, the path. What is the path? Let's say you want to access the whole table, then you will put the table name here, right? You can just put the table name, let's say EMP, and then you have to put what? You have to provide the code like to access my table name, to access this kind of URI. This will give me the access of whole table name. I'm providing a integer value, that is, it's kind of a request code to distinguish between different URIs. I'm providing one. Now let's say I want to access a particular row inside that. Again, I will put authority, and this time it will be EMP slash hash. Now I'm putting it to, so this is EMP ID, as you can see. So you can use EMP or EMP ID because I have defined them here in the as an integer value. So here you can see it will access in this particular URI will access a particular row. Hash here means it can be any ID, it can be any number. So I have added these two URI matcher. If you have more classes or if you have more tables to go on, you will be keep on adding the URIs into your URI matcher. So as of right now, that's all I need. So before inserting the data into my database, first thing I need is I need to create the database. So for that, I will create my own database, my DB, or let's say my helper equals to new my own DB. And here I need a context object, and in content provider you can get the context object by calling the method getContext. Next, I will be returning true if I'm getting a writable database from here. So for that, I will at the top I will create a SQLite database object, my DB, because this is the object by which I will be doing the queries. So my DB equals to my helper dot get writable database. So if my DB is equals to true, that is, if it is returning true, if my DB is doing what is not equals to null, so that means there is a writable database. Else, if it is returning a null, that means there was no writable database and you don't really want to create, there is no database created for you at that point of time, so you will return false. That's it. So now you have your database with you. Next you need is go back to your where is that? Now you want to add the data, right? Once you have created your database, when you want to add the data, here you will put the code to add the data into the into your SQLite database. But to do that, what will you do? Now here, now I need to add the data to my database. So to do that, what will I do? Let's say I create a long range, because I will be getting the ID back when I will be returning a row inside my database. So I already have a database object, my DB dot. So I can directly call the inbuilt methods which are inside my SQLite database. So here, what is the table name? What is the table I want to add into? So with that, I know I have created the table here inside this. So I can create these outside these methods, these values outside here, at the top, so that even my content provider can access them. So here, now all good. Now I can use insert your DB, that is your DB name, that is table name. Table, inside this table you want to add, let me just put null here, and call values are the values which you are going to provide. So once you do that, if your row is greater than 0, that means you have added some rows inside it. Your data, your row was, you were able to add something here. So now you will be putting your URI. You are going to update your URI that you will be getting with content URI dot with append ID. Provide the URI, that is the URI just updated, and the row with which here you need to provide which content URI you want to update, that is content URI, and then the row. Now once you update the content URI, now make sure this content URI here, as you can see, you go up, this is only showing you the authority till authority. If you want to access the table also here, all you gotta do is plus provide the table name also. My table name is EMP. There you go. So it will update my content URI. Next, you need to notify your content resolver with that. First, get context dot get content resolver dot notify change. Notify the change. Let's say that's URI and notify the change URI, and then provide the observer. I don't have any observer object right now. That's it. So this will add and just return this URI now. Great. So that was inserting. If I want to get the data back, so to get the data back, I will come into query and I will put string, not string, I want to build a query. So I will be putting SQLite query builder. This object, this class object will give me the access to build my query in parts also. New SQLite query builder. Now, so first I will add the tables here. So set tables I can do. And what is the table I'm setting here? DB table name. Now we have set the table. Next, what we want is we want to get the data. Of course, I will get the data in cursor object, and I want to build my query. So inside this only query, and query, put the database name or SQLite database object, and the SQLite database object right now here is my DB projection. Let me just put I don't really want a particular projection here, but yeah, selection also not. I want with that too, and group by also, and order. Let me just put order as ID. They'll be shown in order of ID column. Great. After that, I need to notify that my URI has changed. So I will do c dot notification set notification URI, in which I will be getting the content resolver class, so that I can get content resolver and the URI, and return your cursor object. Great. So these are the two methods which I required. Now I can come back to my main activity. First thing first, I will be requiring those edit text here. edit text E1 comma E2 and E1 equals to edit I want to get the access of the same edit text, so I will be doing what? Edit text find view by id r dot id dot edit 1, and same goes with the edit text 2, edit text find view by id r dot id dot e2, that is edit text 2. Okay, this will give me the access of edit text, plus I want the access of my content provider also, so I will put company provider comp provider. Okay, and somehow I will initialize it here. Comp provider equals to new comp provider. Great. So now I have the access of my edit text. Next I need is to add the data into my content provider. Now, before I do that, I need a object of a class content values. Content values is a class which is used for adding the values inside your database in the form of key and value pair. So I will put content values and I will put new content value here. And when you want to insert, I will put values dot put. Now the first part here is the name of the table, the name of the column in the table. So what is the column name you have? You want to put? I already have this. That is the ID is already there. ID will be automatically implemented. The second is your EMP name, EMP underscore name, and the third is your profile. So I will put what? EMP name, and the value regarding to that, with respect to that, I want to get it from edit text 1. Same goes with the second one. Put the column name is again profile and e2.getText.toString. Great. Okay, after that, once you have this, all you gotta do is get the access of your content resolver dot insert, right? And inside this, you first is your content URI, and we already know what is our content URI. You can see here, this is our content URI. So I can access it from here just by calling company provider dot content URI, and the second argument is content values. So I'm gonna pass like this. This whole thing will return me a URI. So now once the data is added, I can always show that in toes that the data was added. You know, URI dot to string and length is your short dot show. Great. So this is how you add the data into your content provider. So next we're going to see how exactly we can load the data. So for that, I will again do what? I just need the access of my content resolver dot query. That's what I'm going to do, right? Query. But first you need a content URI again, so that I can provide dot content URI. Second is your projection thing. You don't need any projection. I'm gonna get everything here. And last you need is your order. Last one I will put it as underscore ID with the order of ID. Now this whole thing will return you a cursor object. Okay, now this whole thing will return you a cursor object. Now you can iterate through that cursor while cr dot move to next. Keep on accessing it. Okay, now here what will I do? Here I'm going to create a string builder object so that it will build my whole thing. String builder equals to, it will format my string builder, and I'm going to now first it will, let's just take an integer id, and it will get me cr dot get int. It will be at 0th position. Then next is your string, let's say s1 cr dot get string, and it will be at first position. Next string s2 cr dot get string 3, oh sorry 2. Great. And the whole thing I want to add, or you can show as toast every time you can show as toast like string, or you can add this whole thing in the str. That is your string builder, and append append first, let's just add id, then give some space, and then add your s1, then again give some spaces, and then add your s2, and after that just go to next line. Great. And at the end you can show context is this, and a string builder string builder dot to string and short dot show. Great. So that's all you need to know. That's all you need to do. So to access your content provider, we have your content resolver here, and we are passing the content URI here, and it will know that which content provider we are talking about, and it will access it. So let's just see this if it really works or not. We'll run this. So my application is installed. Let me just enter the data here. Let's just put first data John and put software. Save. Indeed, data is saved at position 1. Now let's just click on load, see if it is actually saved. Exactly. So the data has saved. Now let me just put another one here. Let me just call it Clark, and let me just call it IT here, and save it. It's saved at second position. Load it, John and Clark. Great. So now you can close your application and the data will still be there. So this was first application. Now all I have to do is create my second application and access this content provider from there. So I will just go to new, create new project, and I will call it second provider. Second provider. So in the second application, I'm not gonna do much. I'm just going to create a button which we'll call load or retrieve. You click on it and you get the data, which is all the data which is there inside your content provider. If you want a particular data or something, then you want to add ID, you want to pass ID and then get the particular data and show that. So I will make it simple here, keep it more simple here. Just go ahead and call it second provider. And increase this font size to 30 SB. Okay, now here I will just put a button. I'm gonna call it load data provider, and gonna call it match parent. And inside the on click, let me just put on click, do loading, and I'm going to put this, sorry, I'm going to create this, alt enter. There you go. Now here, if you want to access your content provider here, all you need to do here is, now first thing first, you need the content URI, of course. So I will create a content URI. I need to have that content URI access first. So I will put URI content URI. So what was my content URI? Content again com dot, I will just copy that content URI here. Just copy that authority and again paste that authority. You need to know this until unless you do not provide this information to your different different application, it won't be able to access it. So provider, and then I guess I have another one to access the table, that is EMP. So EMP. So there you go. You have content URI now, but you have to parse it. So URI dot parse. Just put it here. Okay. Once you do that, next you need is your you need to access your content resolver or a content provider again. So I can give that whole code again, cursor and all. So I will just copy that same code from here. It's the same thing which you did in this main code. Just copy this whole thing and paste it here. Now this time around you won't be having that company dot provider, so you have, that's the reason you have this content provider already, the access of content provider. You need to know that. So cool. So just run this application now and install this in your emulator. And this time around, even if you try to access it from some other application, you should be able to access the data. Right now the data which is there inside your content provider is your John and Clark. Let's see if I can access it. There you go. So just you just saw that there are two application now. This is the second application which was able to access your content provider in the first application. So this is how you can create a content provider which can share the data between two application, and you can even add the data. You just need to have the access of those URIs, and you need to know the URIs. If you want to put the permissions also, now you can go ahead and put the permission in your first application, and then in your second application you need to use those same permissions here. So it was a very simple example of content provider. Please do check out your Git Practical book example for exploring more in content provider. Thank you.